following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
Let's Talk But No Politics Okay proudly dedicates all episodes to the loving memory of Constance Chirac, who was one of the biggest supporters of the show. And we like to say thank you for everything that you have done.
So, Johnny, I've been hearing really great things about this Nostalgia Funhouse. It just brings back so many great memories.
Andrew, another reason I'm maybe in line with you here is that you really vouched for this show. So I'm just going to believe you that this is the show that, I've been wanting, which is just talking about all the fun stuff from our yesteryear and the years before. And I really hate anything meta. So I'm glad that what we're doing right now is not that.
Oh, no, definitely. What is meta? Isn't that Ron Artesta's new name?
Well, add World and Peace to it, sure.
Yeah, but this is great. They last year they were tearing play sets and Halloween costumes.
Well, that sounds cool.
They get these weird court recordings from pop culture courts.
Does anybody care about court cases?
These ones are kind of cool. They put Scott Kelvin on trial. Poor old Santa Claus there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, man. You know what's the best part about this is, though? Is I hear they always got a really great sponsor. You can check it out right there.
Attention shoppers, today we are having a special sale.
That's right, and now is your chance to own this incredible video collection of Pee-wee's Playhouse. You'll be proud to own this award-winning collection that won 22 Emmys, an Ollie from the American Children's Festival for Outstanding Achievement in Children's Programming, and 2 Parents' Choice Gold Awards, just to name a few. Call right now to receive Volume 1 of the Pee-wee's Playhouse collection.
How much is the rascal?
If you order right now, it's just $9.95, and you'll receive the first 2 fun-filled episodes of this collection delivered directly to your door.
Who could ask for anything more?
But there is more. If you call right now, we'll also include absolutely free a Pee-wee's Playhouse gift box for you to display your collection.
Why not just say charge it?
Get your credit card ready and call the number you see on your screen now. You'll receive 2 episodes of Pee-wee's Playhouse and the Playhouse gift box for the amazingly low price of just $9.95. Then each month you'll receive 2 new episodes for the collectible price of just $12.95. Call now.
Come one, come all, and welcome to the Nostalgia Funhouse. Come see the amazing Johnny Townsend pull a podcast out of his hat.
Oh, hat. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to try and think of something else, but
Andrew pulls the podcast out of his shoe?
yeah, left one, not the right.
His left shoe.
My
That's
left
right.
shoe. Only
That's-
left.
Yeah, we don't pull them out of any other orifices, despite what you may have heard. Despite those vicious rumors that my mom probably started passing around.
You know what? I kind of like doing that to people. Do you ever just do that to people to see how they would react? Be like, they'll do something for you and be like, and you'll just mention somebody. Like I do that to my kids all the time. I'm like, wow, thank you. I don't care what your mom says about you.
Yeah, that's always funny. Yeah.
And just to see the reactions on their face, I do it to. I like to do it to younger.
You should be like when one of your kids does something nice and make sure the other kids are there. You should be like, thank you. Now I know why your mom thinks you're her favorite.
I love doing that to my kids too. But like, because it's all different answers.
Yeah. But Andrew, we're hitting a circus today, are we not?
We are. In remembrance of Paul Rubin, we are taking a look and reviewing Big Top Pee-wee.
Hello!
Welcome to the set of my cool new Paramount motion picture.
Guess what it's about?
Ah! This film's got everything. Thrills,
Chills! Romance!
That's right. It's a sexy love story between me and
And not one, but count 'em 2 beautiful women.
it's also a buddy picture.
Hey,
There's one of my
co-stars. Vance the Talking Pig. Say something, Vance.
This is a very challenging role for me.
I walk, I talk, I crawl on my belly like a reptile.
Mr. Herman, ready for you on the set.
Beg me.
Please, Mr. Herman.
Pretty please.
Pretty please.
Excuse me, won't you?
Big Top, Pee Wee, take 1.
Big Top Pee Wee.
And I kept on getting it wrong constantly. Calling it Pee Wee's Big Top, but
Same here. Yep. I did the same thing multiple times.
Big Top Pee Wee.
Now, out of the Pee Wee movies, this is the one that I had the least. Like, I think I've seen this maybe twice before rewatching it today. The other ones I'd seen, especially that first one, I've seen multiple times over. Right?
Did I see? No, I want to say I saw this in the movie, but movie theaters, but I can't remember.
Well, it came out in 1988.
Yes,
Rated PG, which that's something I do want to talk about.
I liked the budget to box office on this.
What is it?
Budget was $20 million.
Okay.
Box office 15.1.
Yeah, this is man, you can tell there's a lot of money in it just from the everything that happens in it, the effects. But this movie is, to put it plainly, batshit crazy.
So to put it in perspective, Pee-wee's first movie, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, sorry, had a budget of $7 million.
And how much did it make?
40.9 million. That's only domestic.
Yeah, so that's obviously a hit. That's what kind of gets Pee-wee rolling.
Yes. Have you seen I know you don't have Netflix, but I don't know if you've had it in the past.
I have had Netflix before, yes.
Pee-wee's Big Holiday?
I have not seen that, though.
Okay, that one's not too bad. I'll give you that much. But Big Top Pee-wee. Huh.
Yeah. Let's go get this one positive out of the way. Hour and a half.
Yes, very, very much. So an hour and a half. Pretty much while watching this, taking notes. Not too many notes because there was a lot of memory stuff. The one part,
it seemed like whoever when they were writing this script, they hadn't taken their medicine for their ADD. That's what it seemed like to me.
Oddly enough, it was written by Paul Rubens and George McGrath, whoever did.
Yeah, now we love Paul Rubens.
Yes.
I do think he's and in this movie, obviously Pee-wee's a force, right? Like he's just always going to be a force. But I did have some issues here with Pee-wee in general. But you want to go ahead and tell, if you haven't seen this movie, just kind of give them a gist of what happens in it, Andrew.
Okay. So it's like, I don't even know why. Okay. So it takes Pee-wee Herman, and he lives so weird. He lives on a farm with a talking pig named Vance and many animals, and he is
now Vance is the best part of this movie.
Okay, thank you. I knew we were going to agree on this one.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know how I am with talking animals. It's
yeah. We just went through Captain N, and we were like, Duke.
Yeah, you're right. Yes.
That's megarific. Why
wasn't Mega Man in this film? This film needs more Mega Man.
He would have been yellow in this one. But he lives on a farm. He's like an agricultural chemist. He experiments with different plants, formulas.
But what's his biggest secret thing that he's working on? One that will cure world hunger and bring people together. What kind of tree is that?
Oh, his Nobel Prize winning, or soon to be Nobel Prize winning hot dog tree.
That's right. It grows wieners.
But he lives in this very small town. He does have a fiance named Winnie, and in this small town is I don't know how there's like 5 kids because Winnie's the school teacher.
Yeah.
There's like
But
5
when you
kids.
say small town, you're not kidding. It's like what, 5 buildings?
Yes,
It's very, very small.
yes, and it hasn't aged at all, even though the people have.
What year do you think this movie is supposed to take place?
I think 1988.
That town seemed very much, because I do
Actually,
think that town seemed very much like early 1900s at best.
it reminded me of like WandaVision, the best way to do it, like where you
Yeah.
encapsulate it into time. Because even that kid's wearing like a raccoon skin hat. Now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it, and everybody is dirt old. Well, not dirt old, but they're old.
Besides those kids, everybody in the town is a senior citizen, it seems. And I mean, besides Winnie, because she's Pee Wee's age. Yeah.
And even like the general store is still making sandwiches. They're still holding things in a barrel, like a pickle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everything else. And they're just old and they don't want to be bothered or anything like that. But all of a sudden, and they're very annoyed with Pee Wee because Pee Wee's very childlike. And one day there's a giant storm that comes in. It's a brewing, as they would say.
I had forgotten about this, that this is the reason that the circus is introduced. I'd forgotten all about this.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
remember this perfectly. So after, Pee Wee gets all the animals into the storm shelter and everything else, and after the storm, there's a circus.
The circus was literally blown into town.
Yes. And I think that's, geez. So pretty much the circus is there. The circus says, okay, we're going to do a parade through the town like it is like the 1950s or,
Yeah.
20s or 30s in there. And all the old people are like, hey, we don't like the circus. Get out of here. But Pee Wee convinces, what's his name? Max Montana?
Yeah, it's
Mace Montana.
he's a country singer. I can't remember his name. He's like a really famous.
Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
was in
Yeah.
Blade.
Yes, he's great. He's fantastic. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of the movie. You don't really even I mean, the circus comes.
There's more.
I mean, I know, but I think if we say more, we need to save it for our grievances here for this movie. Because I have to talk about Pee Wee himself, right? The actual Pee Wee character. He's I love Paul Rubens and Pee Wee Herman, but he is not likable in this movie, in my opinion.
No, I think the one part that I got a big like chuckle at is in the beginning when he's daydreaming. And
yeah,
he's like, this is how old I could go back, because I was gonna call him. He's pretending like he's daydreaming, or he's dreaming that he's like a crooner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of those old time singers. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. That's where I gotta explain myself there. And after the show, he comes out and he's dressed as Abraham Lincoln. I thought this was hilarious.
That was a great gag. Yes.
Because all the girls and everything else are like, oh my goodness, there's Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
Mr. Lincoln, can we have your autograph? And I thought that was just so funny that
I did enjoy that.
He was like, I'm gonna be Abraham Lincoln, who's been dead for what, like
since 1864.
Yeah, like 100. Yeah, since like 100 years or so.
Famously assassinated. Like everybody in the world knows he was assassinated in a theater. Yeah.
So made it look like he was finally going to come out of the theater. Is it too soon? Is it over 100 years or so?
I think there's like 100-year grace period now. You can make jokes about it.
But yeah, I thought that was hilarious. And then his beard comes off and they realize it's Pee Wee Herman, and then he flies through the air.
Yeah, he just takes off it's like he soars through the sky from there.
It starts out good because it's like he's on the farm, and it gives you that Pee Wee's, like, if you compare this to Pee Wee's Big Adventure, you kind of get the feel. But like you said, at
the beginning of the beginning of the movie, when he's going around to all the animals and stuff, there's a lot of really good gags there, and he feels very much Pee Wee in these moments for me. The problem is, as soon as he starts interacting with people, I mean, like, let's talk about the store. When he goes in the store, that old man who runs that store, yeah, he's old and cranky, but he has every right for everything he says about Pee Wee because it's all true. Everything he says about Pee Wee is completely true. Pee Wee's completely selfish. Weenie, who ends up being like an incredibly nice lady. She's really sweet. She's one of the ones in the town that actually helps out the circus people when the rest of the town didn't want anything to do with them. She immediately tries to help them without even a second thought, right? She is nothing but a nice person, and she like Pee Wee just immediately basically cheats on her. And she's like really, really nice. So that's really weird. So he's man, and on top of that, he is incredibly selfish most of the time. And he's here's
I don't want to.
he's incredibly horny, Andrew.
Yes, I noticed this throughout the whole entire thing. But in Pee Wee's defense, what's him
Okay.
and were him and Winnie really meant to be together, or is it because it's just a small town that they're together?
That might be a part of it. But the
It's-
issue here is
it's
when you
like
first meet her, he is legit, even though there's children not too far around, throwing himself on top of her when she's very much saying, not now, not here. And to me, it comes off like the second that the other girl, when she comes in, the Italian lady, when she shows up, who also is in Hot Shots, by the way.
I knew you were gonna love that. I knew the
Yes.
minute I suggested this, I was like, I'm not gonna tell him. I'm gonna wait for Johnny to either send me a message or mention it on here about the girl from Hot Shots.
Yeah, and she's stunning, by the way, a very beautiful woman. And it seemingly to me, just taking the looks out of it, the reason that he gets even more into her is because she seems more than willing to be physical back, right? The whole hair thing was pretty funny. Like he has a thing for hair.
Yeah. I think also they played into the Italian love stereotype.
How did she know? How did Winnie know that the other lady was Italian? She had never met her. That's one of her jokes. Makes a joke about her being Italian
because she met the brothers. I didn't realize this.
Oh yeah. I didn't realize they were brothers.
Okay, she's the sister to what is it? The 4 or 5 brothers.
Okay.
But you want to talk about Pee Wee? Winnie's getting with 4 or 5 brothers at one time. It looks like she's dating all of them.
Yeah. Power to her, man.
But I think that was the problem with this, and they kind of exposed it in a way. Like I said, is because it's such a small town, you're like, oh, I guess I just have to be with her because I'm not gonna be with like the 65-year-old lady that's cranky.
Yeah.
Oh, Winnie is my next best thing. Something new comes in, and there you go.
Yes. But he doesn't. I mean, both those ladies have every right to be mad at him.
Yes.
Most certainly.
Yeah, he should have, said, I have a fiance.
You gotta be very upfront about this sort of thing.
I'm not taking Pee Wee off the hook here. The funny thing though is like when in the beginning, when he's first with Winnie and the kids are standing there and they're watching, and he's like, why don't you take a picture of the last
and
one?
they take out
and they
cameras.
literally take out the cameras, and they're just like,
see, that's the kind of jokes
away.
I love. Yeah, I like those kind of jokes. Those are great gags.
I'm trying to think of, I think the down point in this movie was once the storm hit.
Yeah.
And the circus, when the circus came into town. That was like the first, what is that? The first about 10, 20 minutes or so of this movie is like, okay, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
The storm comes in and the circus comes in. And then after that, it just falls off so quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's there were definitely some parts where I certainly got some good chuckles out of it. It's still a fairly funny movie overall. But the issue for me is just how I felt that Pee Wee, this character that, yes, he's childlike. That's kind of the reason that that's where a lot of his comedy comes from,
Mhm.
is that he's childlike, and I love that aspect of him. But here it seemed like they really turned up the selfishness of this
Yeah.
character.
Where was the, oh, so like the circus is there, and then he finally kind of get into a little bit more, with the whole love story. Vance, the hippo, falls in love with Vance. That was kind
Yeah.
of entertaining. Uh, but when he comes up with the idea, because of his formula, to turn the townspeople into children, because nobody
Well, what
wants.
happens is he notices his hot dog tree
Yes,
that the hot dogs have shrunk into cocktail uh, hot dogs. They've shrunk,
you could say
which is
weenies. You could say weenies.
well, he says cocktail. That's why I was saying that. But
We're not in church, Johnny.
he shrunk the weenies, and as I'm barreling into my 40s, I definitely understand that. It gets a little tougher, is all I'm saying. And the and he decides, oh, that gives me this great idea. If I feed these townspeople, because here's the gist, they stop the circus, right? Like they say, hey, if you do the circus, we're going to arrest Pee Wee.
Yes.
And the one good aspect of Pee Wee in this movie is he has been helping the circus people.
Yep. He's the only one that has. Oh, and to go back to like what you said about Winnie when they went and sell him food, I found
Yeah.
that's kind of. I don't think you could do this today. Is when they finally sold her all the food. When he's like, I need 25 pounds of oatmeal. I need this many cans of tomato soup, and they're like, yeah, we don't have that. We don't have that, even though they do.
Yeah,
And,
the camera makes the point to show that all that stuff's behind him. Yeah.
and then finally he's like, it's closed. And then Winnie's going to the store, and it's like, oh, they said they're closed, and she's like 3:15 on an afternoon. I don't think so. She goes in there and gets all the food, and then the two older ladies are like gossiping, saying stuff, and then the one sticks her finger down her throat.
Yes.
I do believe she's implying that she is bulimic, which
Yep.
I was like, whoa, okay. That's interesting.
It's very harsh.
Yes, that
Very, very harsh. Yeah.
Winnie. I was shocked to find out that Winnie is. I don't know if you've ever seen Adventures in Babysitting.
I think a long time ago.
She's Brenda, which I believe is the one that. Oh, excuse me. Like runs away to the bus station.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like to see where people are in different movies. Did you know? Who do you think? Okay, just to get a little off topic from the story, because I'm definitely gonna forget this if I don't do it now. Who do you think is the biggest name actor? Like, not at this point in time, but look
Who
overall.
becomes?
Yeah, over like an overall. Who is the biggest name actor in this movie?
Like if you just asked me that, and you're not including Paul Rubens, or the
Hey, this guy's bigger than Paul Rubens, I believe now.
who was in there? I must have missed it. Besides
And that's
Christopherson.
it's like his first, I believe, major credited film role.
Who did he play in it? Can you tell me that? Is he one of the circus people?
Yes,
I don't know.
I'll tell you what. He's in Matt's favorite Star Wars movie.
He's in a
Joe,
he's in the
Matt's favorite Star Wars movie. Go that route. And it's somebody that he's a code breaker.
oh god, what's his name? I know who you're talking about, the guy who had this stutter in that movie, in the Star Wars movie. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. I know who you're talking. I can't think of his name.
Benicio del
Toro. Yeah,
He plays Duke the dog boy. Can you believe?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. It's an
I think I
old
remember
Wilson
reading
wow
that
for
now. I just didn't put it together that because I'd read that before when I was doing some research for our Pee Wee episode, and I was saw who all kind of got started thanks to Pee Wee. I do remember seeing that name, but I didn't put it together watching this that was who that was.
Yeah, he's Duke the Dog Boy. And this is I know it's Wikipedia, but when you look on Wikipedia, first film role, 1988, Big Top Pee Wee, Duke the Dog-Faced Boy.
Wow.
Oh, you know what I did? I wanted to go Last Jedi just to make fun of Matt because I know how much he loves The Last Jedi.
It's his favorite movie.
It all time. I think he's watching it right now. I could have went with The Collector. I forgot.
He likes to watch his collector's version of that Blu-ray while he's eating some barbecue he got from the barbecue place down the street. Watching episode then with Reba playing in the background.
We still have the 2-point group chat.
Yeah.
And his brother is in there, and he put in like a barbecue post, like making fun of like barbecue places where it's like $24.99 and it's like 2 pickles and stuff like that. And I go, and I tagged him. I was like, Matt Johnson, a barbecue post. I thought you had more class than this, that you allow these posts in this group. So
I'll
I
let
hope,
it run a gag. He'll never live it down.
I hope he like his brother like was like, he explained it to his brother because didn't want to be mean to his brother, but I needed to point out anything barbecue.
You got to, yeah.
Anything barbecue, Reba, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Last Jedi related. I have to just I love you, Matt, but
I was just grateful.
You have to do.
I was just grateful that when I talked to him yesterday, and of course, sad news as of this recording, Terry Funk had passed away. And we were talking about Terry Funk, and he actually had met him, and it was it was a good story. It was not a Jake the Snake story, thankfully.
If you'd like to hear the Jake the Snake story, go to our Golden Era versus Attitude Era draft, and you will hear some of the Jake the Snake story.
Yeah.
I don't think
Matt not a fan. But yes, a Big Top Pee Wee.
Yeah. Showing if we're a fan of this. Yeah, but
now let's also say the reason we picked this movie was the one that was actually streaming on something we both had access to.
Yes, and it was free.
It was free. Yeah. So that's why we picked this one.
And I couldn't figure out, that was the other interesting thing, why this was on Paramount Plus, but Pee-wee's Big Adventure wasn't, and it was 2 different studios.
Really?
Warner Brothers did Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Paramount did this one.
All right. Wow. All right. Fascinating.
But so we're the cocktail weenies.
Yeah, the cocktail weenies. He sees the hot dog shrink into little weenies, and it gives him the idea that if he gives these to the old people in the town, maybe something miraculous will happen, and it does.
Can I tell you how jarring that is as you're watching them become younger and watching their heads drop?
Yeah, but their clothes still fit.
Yes.
But don't get me wrong, I'm grateful that the clothes still fit.
And what I mean by like their head dropping, if it's not like a shrink down all at once, like the head like drops to the middle of their chest, like not like forward drop, like just drops, and then all of a sudden they're tiny again.
Yes. But guess what happens? You know what kids love? They love the circus.
They do love the circus. And he invites them all to the circus. And then at one point, my brain was like, wait a minute, they're all kids. How are they affording the circus? But then
this circus is making no money.
But if you think about it, they're kids with money.
Because they were adults.
They were adults. So maybe they're like, hey, let's break open this cash register. So isn't that kind of like I don't want to say fraud, but like coercion in some way? Like
there's a lot of weirdness here.
Like drugging somebody to do something and then you take money.
You're literally changing them to suit your needs.
Yeah, like, oh, we need the circus, so guess what, you guys are all going to be like...
even though with that room, the whole town's in that store when he does that, they're not making, even if they all pay to get in that circus isn't making more than $50.
No. And then I think that's probably the lamest part of the movie is the circus because it's called Big Top Pee Wee. They show him train for the circus. They show the townspeople not liking the circus. And because this at this point, I finally got when you messaged me and was like, when are you ready? And I was like 15 minutes. Really, it was like 5 because I was like, okay, the circus part's going to take a while. I'm going to go make a cup of coffee. By
Right,
the
it
time I
doesn't.
grab my coffee, I'm like, wait a minute. Why is Beverly Hills Cop playing? Because I've been watching that. Um, Axel Foley's not in this, which I probably would have made it a little bit better. But I kept on having to like rewind it, and I'm like, really, this is it? This is the ending? Like he just walks across the
The
tightrope
circus
with the
basically is
animals?
the circus is basically a song,
Yeah, the
and
barnyard
then
circus.
and then it's Pee Wee walking across the tightrope with some of his animals. That's the, and then it just ends with him hugging the girl that from those movies from Hot Shots. So that's kind of how it ends in a way.
Yeah, it's
They
not.
set a lot up, and not that a Pee Wee movie necessarily needs to stick to setting stuff up and paying it off, because randomness is sort of part of that world, and that's one of the reasons that I love Pee Wee is that you really don't know what to expect is going to happen. But my main issue with this whole movie is they set up the circus and it's barely anything, and on top of that, I love Pee Wee, so let me love Pee Wee, and he is the least likable character in this movie.
And the how do I say quote unquote sex scene where they do the
Yes.
cliche train through the tunnel.
Yeah, a lot of those gags, yeah, just a lot of scenes. They don't actually show them having sex, they just show
No.
scenes of the train. Like they allude to what they're doing,
Yeah.
basically.
That's probably
And
not the
so
PG.
is this movie there's no cussing in it. There's
No,
no nudity in it.
no.
Is this movie a kids movie? And well, I don't know why I'm asking you.
Yeah, why would you ask me? You know, if you're gonna do that, you got to go to Brian. Brian will tell you what a kids movie is. Brian is our resident
the second I was
consultant.
going to ask that, I stopped
I'm,
myself. I
I'm
realized who I
gonna
was
give him
talking
that
to.
title. So Brian, if you're not gonna, if the minute I get done with this, I'm gonna send you a message.
Is Big Top Pee Wee a kids movie?
I'm gonna send
It's
it.
rated
You are
PG.
going to be the children kids movie consultant.
Yeah.
For the Nostalgia Funhouse. Don't ask me what's a kid's movie.
I forgot you and your RoboCop kids films.
Predator.
Man. Yeah, I mean that's my main issue with this film is if you break down Pee Wee's essence, he's a selfish pervert in this movie. And I just didn't care for that. Like it's
Was
the way that he's always trying to throw himself on Winnie, who is nothing but a nice lady, appears. And then the second another lady shows up and she's totally cool with it, he's like, all right.
yeah.
That's how it kind of comes off. I don't
feel
think
like-
it's how they meant for it to, but that's how it sort of comes off here.
And do the townspeople go back to being normal after a while?
That's what, because they
I
don't
need
show
to
it,
know
right?
that. No.
It just ends with them being kids.
Like for some reason, I got like this. What is that Mandela effect? It seems
Yeah.
that like I remember him becoming big again. Like there was a more to the ending.
Yeah, but I don't think they show that.
No, and they didn't. But yet I remember. Maybe it's a different one. Also reading here that one of the reasons why they say it was suffered low loss, other than because it did get negative reviews. It went up against Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Whoa.
A Fish Called Wanda, and the issue re-release of Bambi.
Wow. Yeah, I hate to tell you, Bambi and Who Framed Roger Rabbit are better than this movie.
Yes. Yeah, and
A Fish Called Wanda I've heard of, but I've never seen it. I know what it is, but I've never watched it.
I have to agree with it that so like what was it? Roger
Ebert.
or like one of the on Rotten Tomatoes, that's the site critic for there. Normally I don't go by them, but I gotta kind of agree with this. Its endearing oddball lead character gives it his all, but Big Top Pee Wee simply lacks the whimsical magic of its predecessor.
Agreed.
100% agreed.
Yep.
Roger
Definitely agree.
gave it 2 stars, along with his colleague Gene Siskel gave it a thumbs down on their television program. In the movies, in comparison to previous Pee Wee works, Ebert claimed that what made Pee Wee's Playhouse and Pee Wee's Big Adventure so great was the character, in those having absolutely no connection with reality whatsoever. And that is why they were so endearing and enjoyable. And if you think about it, in this one, he's just going after girls. It seems.
Yeah.
I'm going to help the circus. I'm going to go after girls. And is he only helping the circus because of Gina? That is the question.
I think he does kind of start helping them before he meets her. I mean, he kind of runs into her when they first blow into town, but he doesn't really talk to her or anything like that. But yeah, I don't. Man, I do think that she's definitely motivation for him to help for sure. It's this is such a strange movie.
Because
for a Pee Wee movie, this doesn't feel like a Pee Wee movie.
no, like Pee Wee's Big Adventure, like Dottie wants Pee Wee. You can feel that throughout the movie. But Pee Wee's like, no, I need my bike. And I think that's something that a kid can get a little bit more connected with, because this is supposed to be a character for children.
Yeah.
That, girls are kind of cool at this point, but my bike is my number one priority. I
have to have my bicycle. Yeah.
And in this one, it was, hey, how can I get some at some point?
Yeah.
And then if they would have concentrated, like, they would have done more of a Pee Wee's Big Adventure, where these girls are trying to get Pee Wee to settle down in a way, and Pee Wee's more concentrated on his chemistry work.
Yeah. Yes.
I could have fallen.
And why didn't they lean more into? I get the circus taking a big part of it, but why didn't they lean more into his chemistry work? Why didn't he have even more? Because the hot dog tree feels like a Pee Wee thing, right? Like it. Why didn't they have more stuff like that he was working on? That's basically it, really, that stands out.
And I get the town. Like, I get it why you would want to do it, because Pee Wee, once again, is a very childlike character, and you're trying to say, oh, sometimes when we get older, we get grumpy and stuff like that. Because I know I do it. And in the words of Step Brother, we lose our dinosaur. And we can't lose our dinosaur. But if you've never seen Step Brothers, go check out that scene about losing the dinosaur, because we lose our childlike thing like those older people did.
Right.
But once again, it just seems more like what you said. Pee Wee, should be called Pee Wee trying to get laid.
Yes.
This is
Pee Wee the college years.
This is like the first season of Winning Time, where you're like, oh boy, we're both basketball fans.
Yeah.
You're a huge basketball fan. We're like, oh boy. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow.
There's a lot of sex in this.
Yeah. Whoa. Why?
There's way more in that first season. There's way more sex than basketball.
There definitely is.
Yeah.
The second season, I know you haven't seen it, but it's way, way less.
Yeah. This should have been like what? Big Top Porkies.
Pretty much. Well, there was a character named Pee Wee and Porky's. Maybe it was meant for a different Pee Wee.
There we go. Very strange, even for a Pee Wee movie. After I watched this, I can sum up how I felt about this movie after I watched it. Huh.
Yeah.
This is by far the least of the Pee Wee movies.
The director of this, Richard Kaiser.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find something. So he directed Grease, The Blue Lagoon, Flight of the Navigator is amazing. Oh, maybe that's the connection. I'm trying to see what else. Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. I loved as a kid. I don't know if I'd like it now. And that's pretty much about it. Those are his directorial things that I could actually put him into where I'm like, okay,
Well, here's the exciting part for me. Who would you be in this movie, Andrew?
okay. I'm leaving Vance out.
Yeah, we have to leave Vince out because I think we would both prefer to be the pig.
Who would I be?
Yeah, what
Even
person?
Chris Christopherson's not even that like
He's wasted in this
he is so wasted. Like I just
because he has an obvious presence. Even just the sound of his voice, the way just how his voice sounds, they could have done so much more with this guy.
this is like having Sam Elliott in a Western or in like some cool guy movie and he only has 5 lines, but he's in the
Yes.
majority of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Who would I pick? Like I would be like, oh, Chris Christopherson, he's a cool guy. And I can't believe this is my introduction to him, and no wonder I didn't really.
Well, this is how you know this movie isn't what we want it to be. Neither one of us, I think, wants to be Pee Wee in this.
No, maybe there's not really too many great characters.
Here, I'll answer for both of us. We'll each be one of those brothers.
I was thinking Duke. Duke was kind of good. Like
Duke, yeah. Duke's a
like
good
when
one.
they're at the restaurant and the people.
Okay, you be
try to
Duke,
serve
and
'em.
I'll be one of the clowns.
Okay, like when Duke's at the restaurant and they're not serving him, and he's getting more into the dog role, and he's like, "I'll give that lady a good bite in her behind,"
Yeah,
because that's stereotypical dog stuff. Dog gets mad and bites you.
yeah. But they could have had more fun jokes with that too. Then they don't really do anything with it.
I kind of like.
Oh, the one character,
I like the two old ladies.
yes,
I thought they had great chemistry together. When the sheriff, when they're spying, and the hippo
yes,
goes after one, and then the sheriff's like, and then they're like attempted murder, and she's like, "I know you sent that hippo after me."
yes,
That I thought was
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that one old lady's in a lot of stuff. I've seen her in a lot of places, but especially in my nightmares. She's great. I really like her a lot in anything she's in. Yeah, I mean, I'll just be a clown, and you can be the dog face boy. But that really tells you kind of what we're feeling about this movie, what we're going to rate it out of.
oh geez, but cocktail weenies.
Okay.
It's the first thing that came to my head. Cocktail weenies or hot dog trees. I'll throw out two. You
No,
pick.
we'll do weenies
Okay. I
out of 5 weenies.
can't take all 5.
I'm sure some people can.
uh 2.5.
Oh man.
I'll go 2.5 because I consider Pee-wee's Big Adventure like the pinnacle. That's like 5.
Yeah. Yes.
I can
yes.
watch that. Thank you, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, for teaching me about Texas in a little bit, because I was absolutely amazed when people actually do clap during The Stars Are Bright. So, but not, I don't know in public like they did, but I've seen it in a restaurant. It's pretty amazing because it brought me right back. So that's like a 5. Like I can watch that constantly. Pee-wee's Big Holiday is like, whatever. I'd probably give that one about a 3, 3.5. And then this one, I'm like looking back at it, it's a 2.5. If you would ask me before, I would have said this was easily a 4. But looking at it, actually watching it over, seeing the characters and the storyline, the plot, and everything else, it just falls short on so many levels. And that's why I would have to give it a 2.5.
It's kind of a victim of the previous movies being so fun, I think.
And Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like,
Yeah,
I did
yes.
that.
Yeah, that doesn't feel, except for like the first 20 minutes of this movie is like a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
4 weenies out of 5. But as the movie goes along, those weenies shrink and shrink. For me. I really enjoy Pee-wee's Playhouse and that first Pee-wee movie so much that this to me is such a disappointment, because on paper you just say Pee Wee in a circus, you're like, oh, this has a lot of promise, right? And it just doesn't deliver. A lot of characters are just wasted. Pee Wee isn't likable. I think 2.5 is a bit much.
I
But
I give it like because of what it was leading up to.
I think there's a lot of promise there that just is not delivered upon. I couldn't give us above a 2, but I got to go 1.5, and that's purely because the other Pee Wee stuff is just so much better than this that it's this is just disappointing in every way. There is a few gags that I laughed out loud at that are really fun, and again, I really do think that first 20 minutes was just Pee Wee going about his farm is very good and
I don't
feels
understand.
very Pee Wee. And
They
why
sh-
didn't just stay that and have that feeling throughout? I don't understand.
Or the hot dog treat could have been something. Him trying to go like almost. You don't want to put him on another big adventure,
Right.
but him trying to get the hot dog treat approved. Like
Yeah.
I get the circus. The circus is fun, but also think the circus at some point nowadays is not like we're realizing this as we're getting older. There's a lot of things that we enjoyed as kids that are falling short with the newer generation.
Yes.
I've never heard my kids really ask, can we go to the circus? Or if you were to ask them, what is the circus? I bet it's not as big as when you would hear Ringling Brothers and Byron Bailey circuits coming in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I was in kindergarten or first grade, one of my favorite field trips was going to the circus. It was such a fun time. But I dare say that I haven't heard any of my friends' kids or my family's kids ever even bring up the circus at all, period.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That you're probably onto something there. They definitely should have just leaned. I mean, I was loving that when he was going to all his animals, they all had their own little beds. Even the horses even had their own bed. That's good Pee Wee stuff right there.
Yes, and the horse that didn't want to get out of the bed.
Yes, that's Pee Wee Herman
pulling the
stuff.
cover over.
Yeah,
but when
that's Pee Wee Herman to me. Is that?
Or when they're all eating breakfast together and they're eating pancakes and stuff like that. That is that is the wonderment that Pee Wee's Big Adventure had, where in the beginning, the machine starts working, it makes the pancakes, it makes the eggs, it does all that while Pee Wee's getting ready. And then it just, like where that one it progressed so well. Maybe it's the director. I mean, I don't want to like.
I mean, it's a completely different director from the previous movie, different style, even completely different style. But
Tim Burton.
That's what I was about to say. But in fairness, Tim Burton has a very distinct style. So, yeah, man, I would just say, if you're going to go back and rewatch this, just stop after the farm.
Yeah.
The second the storm kind of hits, or honestly, the second he kind of goes into town, it just totally changes.
Yeah, it's just not.
The second he goes into town, starts interacting with real people, it starts going downhill.
Yeah, it gets real bad there. I don't know. I'd feel very disappointed because I had fond memories of this movie. Dustin Diamond's also in here too.
Who's he playing this?
Young Deke. So one of the older guys that becomes younger.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Young Deke.
I got you. Yep. All right. Well, that was Big Top Pee Wee.
Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman. There's better Pee Wee Herman stuff out there, obviously.
Way better.
I never saw the Netflix movie, the newer movie. Is it better than this?
Yeah, because it gets more of a. I'll give you a little rundown. It gives you a little bit more of like a Pee Wee thing. What's that guy's name? Joe Mangala or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Comes into town and Pee Wee. It gives you more of a Pee Wee's Big Adventure vibe, where this guy comes into town and he's so like cool. I don't know if you've ever seen him.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So he comes into town and he's like the man. Like, look at me, I got a motorcycle, and Pee Wee gets enamored with him. And it's a town setting, but everybody likes Pee Wee. And he works at a diner, and the Joe Manella guy comes into the diner. Him and Pee Wee hit it off. And he's like, hey, Pee Wee, I want you to come to my birthday party in New York. but they make it feel like Pee-wee's never really left his town. So he kind of goes on. He finally takes a holiday or vacation, and he goes out, and he just needs to find different ways to get to this birthday party.
See, I like this
Like,
already.
Like there's a part where they both like root beer barrels, the candy.
Yeah.
But you figure, oh, root beer barrel. If I give you one, you put it in your mouth, right? No.
Yeah.
Pee-wee puts a tiny straw in it. They both will do that, and they'll pretend like they're drinking it, even though there's like no liquid in those things. But they're like, oh, root beer barrel. And he's got a tiny little car that he drives around in, but he meets all these different people, kind of like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So he meets like one lady that has like a flying car, people that do those hair competitions. You ever seen it where they like turn their hair into like a helicopter and stuff like that?
Yes, yeah.
Like he goes on a bus with them. Like he's meeting all these different people. And I think that's where this kind, like we said, this falls short, is that those people make up the movie and help make Pee-wee become who he is, instead of just these. They just felt like they were there in this one. And then like Adventure and everything else, when they met the new people, they were almost kind of memorable. Like everybody still remembers Large Marge.
Right. Yeah.
And stuff like that. And the dinosaur. And even when they make the movie, the paging Mr. Herman, paging Pee-wee Herman and stuff like that. And then in this one, I remember like Midge, because it was tiny and the special effects was pretty good. I didn't even remember the dog faced boy until later on. And I remember the brothers. But everybody else,
which says a lot, because
like,
these are circus characters who should stand out.
Yeah, but everybody else is just thrown by the wayside. Like we said, Chris Christopherson, it's a waste of time.
How do you get him for this movie? And like, even let's say you completely change this and take the circus out of it and just kind of focus more on Pee-wee trying to get his Nobel Prize for the hot dog tree. And what if Chris Christopherson is like the guy he's got to convince, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
And it sort of turns into like because that's when Pee-wee works best, that character, is when he's likable from the beginning, but he's very childlike, and he comes up against somebody who seems complete opposite. But they somehow hit it off, right? They start hitting it off slowly, and they become good friends, and there's that chemistry there. That's when Pee-wee, to me, really works. The reason that Pee-wee's Playhouse is so great is obviously because of Pee-wee, but also all those other characters who show up or are a part of that world. They all like each other.
Yes. Other than, who was it? Randy. Randy's.
Yeah, but it was like a weird thing there with Randy.
But there's no. Yeah, because there's no really, like, the townspeople are supposed to be the antagonists, but it's not the same as Francis from Big Adventure.
Right.
Like, Francis is very childlike too. Pee-wee's very childlike, but kind-hearted in Big Adventure.
Yes.
Very kind-hearted, where Francis is the selfish, like, rich kid. Where Pee-wee.
Yeah. In this movie we watched for this, though, yes, the townspeople are the quote-unquote I guess bad guys for a better, but the reason that these bad guys work in these other Pee-wee things is that Pee-wee is so likable, and you're like, how can you like? But like, they give these townspeople every reason to not like Pee-wee, and I totally get why they don't like him. I mean, you don't walk into a store that's just full of old people and just because you want a sandwich so bad, you're going to push these poor old ladies out of the way, you know?
It's just.
And it's very obvious he had done that a lot from the store owner's reaction.
Yeah. It's very. And if you don't like egg salad sandwiches, just say you don't like egg salad sandwiches.
Yeah, I don't like them. And that's why I would never eat them.
That's horrible.
And there's no way that cheese sandwich was. What are you saying about me?
I'd love a good egg salad sandwich.
I don't know why I don't like eggs. I love a good deviled egg. Does that count?
It's the same thing if you think about it.
I'm just weird, Andrew. I don't know what to tell you.
I get it.
I'm a strange guy.
My wife hates onions, but she eats Funyuns.
Here's the thing. I like onions on stuff, like a burger, But please chop them up. I don't want like big pieces of onion.
Okay, so you're a McDonald's burger guy, like you like.
Oh yes, those little small onions they put on those things are
know-
just brilliant.
I know you have a problem with the ketchup too, because I've listened to the panel discussion on that one. All
Yeah, I'm a
three
big-
of you have a major problem with McDonald's ketchup.
Yeah, we love
Like-
McDonald's ketchup.
the
We're
other
big fans
day-
of McDonald's ketchup.
You guys should just be sponsored by McDonald's ketchup.
If you don't think that I haven't legit looked for just if McDonald's sells their ketchup in bottles, you'd be kidding yourself because I've looked that up multiple times.
Like Chick-fil-A does with sauce.
Yes, that's what. Yes, yep, 100%.
So Whataburger does a spicy ketchup,
Yeah, I've heard about. I've never had it, but I've heard about it.
and they actually sell bottles of that. That is pretty much the only ketchup we have in the house, and it drives my wife nuts because we don't have normal ketchup, and I got everybody eating spicy ketchup, and I
You
get
remember when they tried to do green ketchup?
yeah, and it was like purple also.
Yeah, I remember that.
The 90s. The 90s.
Oh man. All right. Well, that was
All right.
Pee Wee's big
Yeah.
top Pee Wee. See, I'm still wanting to do that too. Getting that wrong.
Yes. Okay.
Just watch the first 20 minutes and you get all the Pee Wee you need from that movie.
Yeah, or just stay away from it. Just
Yeah, and just watch the other Pee Wee stuff instead.
I think that's the great thing that I want to mention about the Pee Wee movies is it's like, oh, I didn't watch the first one. That's okay. Doesn't
Yeah, they don't really have anything to do with each other.
doesn't follow
Yeah.
Pee Wee's Big Holiday. Doesn't follow Pee Wee's Playhouse.
They're their
doesn't
own
follow.
separate things. Yeah.
And that's kind of the beauty thing.
Yeah.
All right, but that is it. Thank you once again for listening. Check us out on all our various social medias, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, and merch shop. All the links will be below. And on behalf of Johnny, I'm Andrew Lenz saying good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
This needed more Mega Man.